The time was expired, therefore, no goal!
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a traitor among us, and that traitor will be revealed by the end of this video. But look, I don't want this channel to turn into a marathon about my dad's neglect or insanity, or even about the Blackhawks. We're going to cover the whole league, eventually. But for now, due to relevant developments,
they announced today they've signed Patrick Kane.
All of those things will have to be discussed again. Patrick Kane is about to debut for the Detroit Red Wings. It's giving me serious Chris Chelios 1999 vibes. So we're going back to the 1990s, when some families had massive, unregulated, possibly illegal satellite dishes set up in their backyards to intercept broadcast cameras from out-of-town games. Yes, that was really a thing. I'd know, because we were one of those families. And then we're off to the year 2007, when I ran home to tell my dad we just drafted Patrick Kane.
I'm Patrick Kane, I play for the London Knights.
His response, as usual, won't disappoint. But more importantly, there's a story there that's relevant to this day. For Chicago, the difference between the 2007 draft and the 2023 draft is significant. In both situations, the organization was in shambles, but for different reasons. And now, with Kane in Detroit, those drafts have a chance to connect in a mesmerizing way and bring the story of Patrick Kane full circle. A story that's deeper and darker than anyone could imagine. We'll cover it from all angles, and I'll give you 3 takes on Kane's coming debut in Detroit: the Homer version, the rational perspective, and my actual opinion. But before we do that, I just want to say I'm beyond thankful and overwhelmed by the response to my last video, Connor Bedard is a bust. I know I've already said it, but I want to say it again. It's such an honor to have your ear for so many reasons, and I hope to share all those reasons with you in future videos in a way that doesn't berate my dad for clicks again. Dad, this one's for you. Our friends over at CBS and NBC, with a tribute celebrating 800 subscribers, all thanks to you. Wow, Tony, what a fantastic moment. 800 subscribers. Oh, wow, NHL goal zone, Jim. Oh, wow. You know, Al, I don't want to see the kid get a big head or nothing, but it's good to see him get out there, kind of tiptoe around the field, interact with some of those new subscribers, and really spread his wings. Wow, what a touching montage. A big thank you, and now back to your regularly scheduled programming. It's 2007. Every day, I'd watch any highlights I could find from the Canadian Hockey League, and one of the first players I discovered on my own was Patrick Kane. Now, obviously, I didn't discover him as a complete no-name. He put up 145 points in just 58 games with the London Knights throughout that year. So anyone who was paying attention knew Kane was that guy, or as the Gen Zs would say, he's him. But for whatever reason, when the Blackhawks won the first overall pick, Kane was not the clear-cut guy. The headlines, as I remember, painted an unclear narrative, bringing Middletown, New Jersey prospect James Van Riemsdyk and BCHL standout Kyle Turris into the mix. They really had you wondering if the Blackhawks were going to drop the ball here. At the time, the organization was in shambles. They weren't even showing the home games on TV. Of course, that was all about to change, but if you were a fan, you felt so abused. You could only assume the worst. Would the Blackhawks get suckered by Central Scouting, who ranked Kyle Turris first overall among North American skaters? To young me, this was about as infuriating as making a grilled cheese sandwich and forgetting the cheese. But in 2007, young, innocent Charlie was actually losing sleep over this. What if we actually passed on this guy? I thought. The day of the draft comes, I go to my best friend's house to watch 2 stereotyped suburban kids who just love hockey, nothing else, except maybe football, girls, and Blink-182. Totally unoriginal. And then the pick came, and sweet relief. Phones were still not the norm at the time, so I immediately ran back home to tell my dad we got Patrick Kane. I actually ran. I didn't walk, acting like a child, even though I was a teenager. By the time I got home to tell Dad about it, all he said was, "I don't care, because I don't trust the Blackhawks to make the right pick, but we'll see. Now please leave me alone, because I'm trying to watch The Cosby Show."
Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby?
Bill Cosby? I know you like Bill Cosby.
No one seemed to share my excitement, but for the next 16 years, Patrick Kane was my dad's entire life. In fact, I think he considers Kane to be his actual son.
My son.
Which brings me back to the title of this video. There is a traitor among us. Who can it be? Well, let's look at 2 suspects. the guy we've been talking about this entire time, and someone else who went through something very similar at a similar age too. March 23rd, 1999, Chris Chelios was traded to Detroit for Anders Eriksson and 2 first-round draft picks. I was crushed. Everyone was crushed. It was surreal to see Chelios talking about that beautiful winged wheel. It's like, what are you doing, Chris? What are you doing? But of course, I was a dumb kid. On paper, the Blackhawks got an amazing deal. Chelios was 37 years old at the time, and according to VintageDetroit.com, it wasn't the most popular trade around Motown, at least not initially, but Chelios had a great deal left in the tank that no one saw coming, finishing with a plus 40 plus minus and leading the NHL 3 years later. The fans would boo him every time he'd come back to Chicago, but Chelios, well, he never meant to break their hearts. In his book, Made in America, he said the trade that sent him over there wasn't supposed to happen. And in January 1999, he told the Chicago Tribune, "I want to stay in Chicago." So Chris isn't the traitor. And no, I don't think Kane is either. Because when you're on the back end of your career, you're no longer invincible, and you take the best opportunity you can find, even if it's on a team you vowed you'd never play for. Not only do I understand, but my dear subscribers, I would have done the same thing. The traitor is me. I don't know if it's me getting older, or the assault scandal, or the way the team handled it, or the simple fact that I kind of do believe the NHL gifted the Blackhawks the first overall pick. But there's a dark cloud over this team, and I'll get to what I mean by that in a second. But I mean, really? Not even a phone call to Kane? A chance to pair him up with Bedard and make things right? He took only $2.75 million for 1 year with your arch rival. But Taylor Hall? Yes! Get him over here now! Kane told The Athletic he wasn't bothered by this. He's been a professional about the whole thing. And now he has a chance to do exactly what Chelios did.
Patrick Kane.
The 2007 draft and the 2023 draft now come full circle. The Blackhawks got both picks, but their betrayal of the 2007 franchise hero now has a chance to haunt them, just like Chris Chelios, and show the team that betrayed him, probably far too early, that they were wrong. But there's more to this story. I get the mystical sense there's a dark cloud over this team. There's something hollow about this organization. I was at the game on November 28th. The fans are lifeless, even with Bedard suited up. The situation is not even mellow, it's just off. Even the goal horn sounds different. I kind of just feel like, as Seinfeld once said, I'm cheering for the clothes. Frankly, I'm happy for Kane. He's joined a team on the up and up, still Original Six. I lived in Detroit for some time myself and attended games at Joe Louis Arena. It really is hockey town. Kane clearly sees the same thing. And listening to him talk about Detroit on this Zoom press conference simply blows me away.
You know, it's a great organization. It's run by one of the best players of all time.
It's been almost 2 decades. I still remember the immature kid from yesteryear, partying on Cinco de Mayo and, well, acting his age. But now, when you listen to him talk, with his receding hairline and wrinkles, you hear the maturity. He's articulate, passionate, and, as Alex DeBrincat described him, a hockey nerd. I always wondered about Kane as a person, but when I saw him cry over the firing of Dennis Savard and after the passing of his grandfather, I knew he was not what the media made him out to be. At least, I knew as much as I could know for not knowing him, and I completely understand why he chose Detroit, because that's where I would go myself. Finally, let's break down Kane's future with Detroit from an analytical perspective. I'll give you the homer version, the rational version, and my actual opinion. Starting with the homer version. Patty Kane, man, what can I say? The guy's a stud. Sickest mitts in the league, bro. And now for Rational Charlie, which really combines with my actual opinion. Patrick Kane joins a high-ranked offense, 5th ranked last I checked, and slotted nicely on a power play that began hot but has cooled off in the month of November. He'll obviously get looks with former linemate DeBrincat, but as we learned during Kane's brief stint in New York, you never know how time apart will change things, even from the greatest linemate you've ever had. For all we know, Kane slots in with Raymond or Larkin or someone else. We won't know until he hits the ice and gets the playing time. My actual opinion, I think it's safe to bet that Kane is going to get back to form. He was fine even with the hip issues, just not by his standards. Fine might be an understatement, as he was still creating separation, making plays, and blasting slappers at point-blank range. To my naked eye, he looks fantastic right now, and something tells me Steve Yzerman, who's been through plenty of injuries in his career, can tell Kane is going to be worth the $2.75 million they're giving him, even if it means Detroit loses a spot for a young player to develop. Kane is the kind of guy they need right now, a scorer who can deliver shocking moments at the right time. After all, he is Patty Kane, bro. Sick mitts. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.